Merhaba arkadaşlar. Yeni başlayacağımız oyunun adı The First Tree. Oyunu oynayacağız. Yürüme platformu diyebiliriz. Her şey en yüksekte. Oyun bir tilkiyi canlandırıyoruz. Bir insanın gözünden nasıl anlatayım ya? Neyse ben bunu yazarım. Oyunu açacağım zaman şöyle bir hafif bir okumuştum. Tilkiyi canlandırıyoruz ama bir insan arkadaşı ya da aile bağıyla alakalı bir hikaye anlatıyor.
Are you awake?
Uyanık mısın?
I thought I heard you get up.
Yeah, I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't sleep.
Are you thinking about
Ne
him?
düşünüyorsun?
Yeah, a bit. You should get back to sleep, my love. I'm fine.
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
I don't know. It seems weird, but I had one of the most vivid dreams of my life.
İşte şu an evet o tilkiyiz biz.
On a snowy mountain. Just looking confused and worried.
Bir şey arıyordu.
Those eyes.
Aynen. Ailemizi arıyoruz
Can't
biz
get
de.
those eyes out of my head. She was running in the windy snow, looking for something.
Do you think it has to do with you
Olduğunu düşünüyor
and
musun?
what's been going on?
I don't know. It was just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense. A lot's happened the past couple days, that's all.
İşte böyle merak
Well,
ediyorum.
if you're not going to sleep anyway, you should tell me. I want to hear.
All right.
Alright, tamam. Bir harita map falan yok mu? Ya oyunun baktığım şeylerine oyuna çoğu kişi övmüş ama çoğu kişinin müzdarip olduğu şey de map. Harita çok büyük diyor. Herkesin yorumu bu. Aha.
So, not far from her home, she followed that path to something unexpected.
Dedi. İlkiyiz çocuklarımızı arıyoruz galiba. Bak bir tanesi Mortingen. Yani oranın en kötü yani
She
oyunun
couldn't
en
stay
kötü yanı
though.
oymuş.
She had to find her
Ondan
other
sonra
two
tekrar
children.
yol kuruldu.
So she took that path. She followed it.
İki
towards
çocuğumuz kaldı
something
şimdi.
ancient,
Birisi öldü.
something with answers.
Harita çok büyük. The First Tree. Bunu ekrana yakalım.
The fox looked high and low, searching for any sign of her cubs. Points of light showed the way to this ancient tree. It was as if each one had a story to tell, all their own. The land was trying to tell my story too. I felt like I was right behind her the whole time.
Tam parıltıları izleyeceğiz işte. Yiyeyim mi lan sizi? Yiyeyim mi lan? Bu ne alaka? Ek yumurta hesabımı koymuşlar bunu. Aa, orada da var. İlk şunu alayım. Yuhu. Ah. Bir oturuşta bitirirsiniz diyorlar. Birkaç saat sürermiş ama.
Do you remember what my dad did for a living?
Wasn't he like a lumberjack?
That's one way of putting it. If wood was a canvas, then a carving knife was his paintbrush. Even after working a 50-hour week, even after his hands were more splinters than skin, he would bring home the nicest piece of Alaskan weeping cedar and make me toys. That wooden train was the first toy I can remember, and I loved it. I just knew from a young age I was going to be a lumberjack, like my father.
Ben parlak gördüm. Evet, oyuncak gösteriyor. Şuraya bakayım. Harbi harita çok büyük ya. Bak şuralarda parlaklıklar var. Oralara gideceğim daha.
As a kid, did you ever do show and tell in your class?
Yeah, I think I only did it once, when I was in the 4th grade. You know how my life was around then. I wanted to show my class what helped pass the time and distracted me. So I brought a dozen paper cranes I had made. I think I told everyone how badly I wanted to be a bird and fly, embarrassingly enough.
Don't be embarrassed. Every kid wants to fly.
Benim oyuncağımsa
For
bu.
me, it was another toy from my
Evet, bu
dad,
tekne.
a wooden boat. I remember guarding it so
Aile
carefully in my
bağlarıyla
hands as I
alakalı bir
walked
oyun
into
bu.
class. When I sat down, a group of boys immediately made fun of it. They asked which trash can I found it in, or why an ugly log was my favorite toy. When I got up, I didn't even want to tell them my dad had carved it.
Niye böyle
I
bir
said
şey
it was a
yaptın
joke
bebeğim?
gift my friends had given me.
Kids can be so cruel.
Some of them are. I shouldn't have let them get to me, but it did. It's amazing we bounced back at all.
Tamam, şimdiki olayımız ne aşkım? İşte map çok büyük olduğu için parlaklık. Burada parlaklık falan göremiyorum. Oradan geldim zaten. Geri döneceğiz. Ye bunları, ye. Fizene kadar kovalıyoruz galiba. Evet, gördüm. Şuradan çıkabiliriz sanırım oraya. Bu arada ben tilkileri çok seviyorum. Çok güzel hayvanlar. Yani cidden çok güzeller ya. Bir de tilkileri severken tilkiler hep böyle gülüyor. Ama işte doğada yaşaması gereken bir hayvan. Niye doğada yaşaması gerekiyor onu da bilmiyorum yani. Evcimen olsa ne olur yani. Besleyen besliyor çünkü. Ben TikTok'ta görüyorum çok tilki besleyenler. Çok güzel ya. Bu ne lan? Şunları illa almam mı gerekiyor acaba? Bunları almazsam parlaklık çıkmıyor mu ki? Yani bana yardımcı olacak şey çıkmıyor mu ortaya? Bak o ileride var bir şey. Ha gördüm. Hoş. 10, 12, 13 yaşındaydım galiba. Ortaokulda gidiyor. Ortaokul muydu ya? Pek hatırlamıyorum bile. Bir tane film vardı. Koş Lala Koş diye. Çok saçma sapan bir orospu vardı başrolde. Şimdi koşuyoruz ya. Nedense saçma sapan bir şekilde o film aklıma geldi. Şöyle bakayım alacağım bir şeyim var burada. Yok.
Usually those kids would leave me alone, but somehow they could tell I was different. They made fun of how far away I lived. They called my dad sourdough. I was a blabbermouth as a kid, telling my dad stories I made up for hours. But after that show and tell, I didn't tell him much anymore. He didn't know exactly what was wrong, but his best guess was that the toys he carved weren't cool enough. He carved me a tank and tried to tell me what it was like to be in a real tank as a serviceman.
I didn't know your dad was in the military.
Yeah, in the army. The sad thing is that I'd pretty much forgotten until just now. There's so much I still don't know.
Oradan gelme bunlar.
I'm sorry. He knows how much you love him. You're going to see him again soon and have some closure, I'm sure.
Ya buradaki olay galiba şöyle. Şimdi biz insanız. Rüyamızda bu tilkiyi görüyoruz. Şu an tilkiyi oynuyoruz. Paralel bir evren hesabı galiba. Babamız kopuk büyük ihtimal. Babamız hasta herhalde. Onunla tekrar birleşimimizle alakalı bu tilki bize bir ders vermiş olacak. Bazı böyle yürüme simülasyonu oyunlarda böyledir. Ders verecek niteliktedir. Belli ki bu oyunda insanlara ders vermenin niteliği taşıyan bir oyun. Şimdi 3 çocuğumuz vardı. Birisi öldü. Diğer 2 çocuğumuzu arıyoruz. Harita harbi büyük ya.
The older I got, the more I withdrew.
Çok inspire çekiyor.
I asked myself, why talk to anybody anyway? Why bother when I'm happy by myself? I started drawing a lot, mostly animals I saw in the woods by my home. I then imagined designing my own hideouts with things like TVs and pantries full of chips and cookies.
Ressamız
I
biz.
think that idea of leaving home and drawing blueprints started my career. I found a lot of solace in that.
I'm not surprised, but I did the same thing, you know? There's something special about having a place to call your own.
And now look at us. Well, if you count renting in an overpriced city.
It's as close as we can get for now.
Oh. Sanırım burada toplayacağımız her şeyi topladık galiba. Birisi oyunla alakalı bir yorum yazmış. Ben şimdi Steam'de oyunu açmadan önce şöyle kullanıcı yorumlarına bakıyorum. Oynayanların. Birisi yazmış. Oyunu da 6 saat mi, 3 saat mi, 4 saat mi ne oynamış yani. Genel anlamda 2 saat, 3 saat oynamış herkes. Yani demek ki 2-3 saatte bitecek bu oyun. Oo. Ben de dedim orada mı bitireceğiz oyunu? Adam çok uzun oynamış yani diğerlerine göre.
My teenage years were full
Adam
of
diyor ki
sketching, angst,
ilerliyorum
and
ilerliyorum diyor. Hep diyor bir şeyleri diyor unutuyorum diyor, geri gidiyorum diyor. Sinir oldum diyor. Ama oyun
maybe
diyor
just
güzel.
forgettable. I guess that gave me a sense of freedom. So I hung out with crazy kids, doing crazy things, even though I mostly just watched the chaos ensue. We did it all. Put fireworks in mailboxes, hide roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in Anchorage. My dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
I think being an adult means there's no one to stop you making hard decisions. He had to make a living and he couldn't be in two places at once.
Yeah, I
Aslında
realized
yetişkin
that
olmak
now.
zor değil.
But at the time,
Parasız olmak
I
zor.
was sure he was more interested in growing his business than what was going on with me.
Ya bu ışıkları toplamazsam ne olur acaba? Bakayım şöyle bir gözlerini göster bana. Umutsuzluk var mı gözlerinde? Hay sen ananı sikim ya. Aha. Cap.
He was working another late night, and my friends were over, saying how bored they were and how they had come all the way out to my house for nothing. One of them mentioned how that old, ugly beyond belief truck was still in the garage, and how we should take it for a spin. I was only 15, so I kind of fought it for a while. The next thing I knew, we were careening around the mountain path, rocks spitting onto the sides of the cliff, while my dad's cringeworthy bluegrass blared out the speakers. I drove while my friends were in the back of that yellow and purple truck, throwing beer bottles and trash at anything remotely interesting. Felt like I was soaring in the air with borrowed wings. But all good things have endings. A cop outside of Eagle River pulled us over after he saw us in a bottle rocket into someone's yard. What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
Bu ne ya? Kelebek mi olayım diyordum. Ha, bir dakika. Tamam, şimdi oldu olay. Beni daha fazla yükseğe çıkaracaklar. Bu arada yürüme simülasyonu oyunlarını ben seviyorum. Film tadında. Hatta sadece oyun hikayeli böyle ilerlesin. Ben sadece komut vereyim karaktere. O da benim hoşuma gidiyor mesela. Hatta Dark Pictures oyunu muydu onun adı ya? Korku oyunu bir seri var. Adama sadece hikayede kod veriyorsun. Hikayeyi yönlendiriyorsun. Aa, gel bakayım buraya. Oyunu oynamayı düşünüyorum. İlk önce şu Steam'daki benim parayla satın aldığım oyunların hepsini bir güzel oynayayım. Dark oyununu satın almadım. Onu korsan oynarım. Çünkü çok pahalı. Pahalı abi artık. Türkiye'de her şey pahalı ya.
After he drove me home from the police station, I blew up at him.
Oh.
Saying how I never wanted to be like him, how I was gonna be someone and leave that hick icebox for good. He just looked forward at the road.
Sen benim oğlum olsaydın senin kafanı gözünü patlatır öldürürdüm.
Took out that bluegrass tape from the cassette deck and chucked it out the window. In my sage teenage wisdom, I thought I had proved the ultimate point. But my dad had a different idea. He slammed the brakes, slowly bowed his head, gripping the steering wheel.
Bakış atmakla olmuyor oğlum, döveceksin.
All he said, like it was a polite request, was, "Make this right." I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after profanity. I found it 30 minutes later, near a small waterfall off the road. I went back to the truck, put the wet tape back in.
Abi dövecek. Ben mi öğreteyim ya?
We didn't speak another word to each other the rest of the night.
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager, but...
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It surprises me too. It's like I didn't really know who that kid was back then. I bet my dad thought the same thing over and over. It's almost like he was saying, make this right to himself, more than to me.
Ben buraya nasıl çıkayım kanki? Şimdi okey. 3 tane toplayacağız. Şimdi biri oradan topladık zaten. Oh yes. 2 bu. Dur lan, 3. buradaymış. O zaman hay amına koyayım seni. Çık. Ağzına sıçayım senin. İlk onu alayım. Olmuyor ki, hiçbir türlü olmuyor. Bak. Ben olmuyor abi. Ananı sikim seni yani. Tamam. Normalde ilk bunu almam lazım benim. Ya 3 tane al diyor abi, ben bunun anasının amına mı sokayım? Bunu alacağım. Hiçbir türlü olmuyor. Şimdi gideceğim bak anasından mı işte. 2 tane yetmiyor. 3 tane dedi çünkü. Nasıl olur bu? Bunun nasıl falan yok. Çık çık çık çık. Ha ha ha ha.
My friends would laugh about that night and talk about how crazy it was. And I laughed along, pretending it didn't bother me. But it did. I imagined my friends growing old in the bush and able to find that thrill in those godforsaken ice fields. It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving,
Wow.
where all I would have to look forward to are lumber yards and evening beers. I had to climb over.
Tamam.
That was my only goal for a long time.
Şu map'e bak amına koyayım ya. Haritaya bak.
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing and turn it into a way of escape, nothing would make me happier. I wanted to create instead of tearing trees down. I wanted to move to the lower 48, not because I hated it there in Alaska, but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had created this monster which followed me around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy into
Gidelim
doing
bakalım
what
şu
others
kafalara.
didn't expect of me. Why did I do that?
There's one fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're absolutely right. Maybe the destination is all that matters in the end. Then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on a journey?
Aile bağını öğreneceksin
Why can't
çünkü
I stop
piç.
thinking about my dad?
Öldün mü lan? Abi sen koş koş. Aa, gördüm orada bir bisikler. Aa, tepede. Bu ne lan? Çuk çuk. Müzikler orta derece, böyle pek beni tutkuya boğmadı yani. Ne bu? Yani yakalayacağım böyle. Aa, orada. Orada bir parlaklık var. Geber amına koyayım. Ha, orada da var.
On our property, there were old abandoned pieces of a shed and car long left unused. I used to ask him all the time who those people were that left all this junk. And I'm sure he got so tired of hearing it that he made up some elaborate stories how a brown bear ate them and haunted the woods afterwards. What's funny is I think it made those people seem more real. Growing up thinking they were still hanging out like they couldn't say goodbye. I used to tell my friends how I could swear I saw spirits move near the water, and that always freaked them out. I guess it didn't bother me, because the way I saw it, they were normal people with old cars and sheds, just trying to figure out how to survive and be happy in the middle of nowhere. It was a cool thought that they didn't want to leave, but you know, I was a weird kid.
Well, you had good company since those ghosts like living in a place where they were brutally devoured.
Tamam, şimdi güldü. Hadi sik onu. Bebeğim, karın güldü, onu sikmen lazım gecenin köründe. Uyandın rüyandan. Rüyanı anlatıyorsun şu an manitaya. Artık karın mı, dost hayatı yaşadığın bir manitan mı, fuck buddy'm mi bilmiyorum. Bu devirde arkadaşlar fuck buddy olmak en mantıklısı. Eve gelecek, çakacaksın, para da harcamayacaksın.
At the times when I detested him the most, he kept reaching out. For a year straight, he asked me every week when we were going camping. I thought he was just dense. Eventually, to shut him up, I agreed. We carried out the worn lawn chairs from the garage and set up a cinder block campfire at the site we'd always used behind the house.
Ulan bizim Türkiye'de bunu yapan kimse yok.
Down the mountain path, talking in the warm sunshine we only got a couple months of the year. Those 3 obsidian rocks shimmered alongside the shore, almost like sparklers pressed against a dark window. I'll never forget that wet stone on my feet, or how those massive mountains looked even bigger in the lake's reflection. I felt small, but grateful. As the sun set, my dad found something I hadn't seen for a long time. The tree where I'd made my first carving when I was 6. I hadn't even carved it. My dad had helped me, but I still called it my tree. Something about seeing my name there made me open up. and we talked about everything that night in that old camouflage
Oha,
tent.
anasından mı ta arkada?
I told him how much I love sketching and design, and how it would be a dream to study architecture in Seattle. I told him how I didn't get along with my friends much anymore, but that I didn't mind being alone. He told me he was there for me, and he joked that if all he had to do was write my name on a tree to finally get me to talk, he would have left me carved logs with novels on them in front of my room every morning. I don't know why it took me that long to realize it, but it was then I knew how much he had sacrificed for me.
Aile bağı çok kuvvetli olmalı ya bu devirde. Her konuda desteklemek lazım. Çocuğunu, anneni, babanı. Anne baba, ebeveyn çocuklarını desteklemesi lazım. Tabii ki yani desteklesen de yani bazen karakteri eğer piçse, karakteri eğer orospuysa çocuğun değişmez. Ne yaparsan da yap değişmez. Bırakacaksın o zaman ölsün gebersin amına koyayım. Bazı insanlara çünkü ne yaparsan yap iflah olmaz. Karakteri o. Yani mesela sevgilim vardır. Değiştirmeye çalışırsın sevgilini. Yani değiştirmeye çalış. Karakter, yani bir insanın karakterini kolay değiştiremezsin. Hele ki bir yaşından sonra, yani bir süre sonra artık o karakter tamamen oturacağı için ne yaparsan yap o değişmez, iflah olmaz. Ne yaparsan yap bak, ne yaparsan yap. Yırtın götünü yırt yani, değişmez. Anlaşamıyorsan da tabii ki bitirmen lazım, yoksa hep ağlarsın. Ağlarsın abi. Benim çevremden ben görüyorum yani. Çocuk severek evlendi. Tapıyor karısına Allah gibi tapıyor. İlah amına koyayım. Karısına tapıyor çocuk. Mal amına koyayım. Karısı da şey yani sümük atılmaz lan karısına. Sümük. Aha, yakaladım. Tam orası yanıyor, bitti bura. Şuradan bu ses oradan geldiğine göre yani sana komut verdi zaten. Şu an oyun komut verdi bize. Bak dedi, yanıyorum. Yani bu kadar uzun yani bu kadar uzamasına gerek yok oyunun. Harbiden yani anasını gibi uzatmışlar map'i. Aha. Abi dün kiracıya uğradım. Abi harbi sıkamıyorum bile lan. Bakayım şunu kaldırabilecek miyim? Oh yes. Hoppa, kazalım.
My dad built a lot of stuff in his free time. If he wasn't watching fly fishing or reading Tom Clancy novels, he was carving something. He made tons of birdhouses. Not that he was into bird watching, but I think he really missed working and adding on to the home. If he couldn't afford the time to build onto our own house, he would have to settle with watching birds move into their little homes. We kept an old mattress in the bed of that ugly yellow truck.
Allah Allah,
So we
mezar
would
ne
drive
alaka?
it deep into the woods and then watch the birds fly into their houses while the sun set. Usually it was accompanied by venison jerky or a cold Coke, but not a lot of talking, which is how we both liked it.
Vay, bu ne lan? Kurt mu o?
Perpetrator stood nearby, unfazed, like nothing was wrong.
Duruyordu, bomba öldü.
My dad is dead, and he's never coming back, Rachel. I can tell you these stories, but I can never reminisce with him again. He can never hold a grandchild that we'll probably never be able to have. I can never talk to him again, and I'll never be able to say I'm sorry for everything.
Bu ipne mi öldürdü lan bunu? Kurt. Yüzleşmemizi anlatıyor ha. İki çocuğumuzu öldürdün. Büyük ihtimal üçüncüsü ölmedi. Bak mesela insan babasının suçlusu olduğu kişiyle yüzleşememiş. Yani sorumlu tuttuğu kişiyle yüzleşmek istememiş. Müzikleri beğenmedim ya. Bana sıkıcı geldi. Yani zaten yürüme simülasyonu denilecek bir oyun. Yani niye bu kadar çok map yaptınız, bu kadar çok yani yoğun bir şekilde tasarım yapmanıza gerek yoktu.
I need to go to bed. I just can't talk about this anymore. Good night.
Konuş oğlum, Allah Allah, erkek adamsın lan. Karı gibi hareketler, good night, good night ne amına koyayım. Ya da en azından bir posta koysaydın karıya ya. Kalkmışsın o kadar çok. Bir posta çakardım ben yani. Ya tabii şimdi rüyası bayağı etkilediyse pipi kalkmaz. Bende de olabilirdi yani. Şimdi öyle demeyelim. Kızmayalım adama. Vay. Çok iyi. Bak. Bu
Joseph,
kim lan?
you can't go to sleep feeling like this. I'm sorry for everything, and I know you need space, but I'm here for you. You don't need to feel so.
Efendim? Buyurun. Ha, tamamdır abi, anlaştık. Anlaştık. Sağ olasın. Sağ olun.
Lost.
Gördüğünüz gibi her şey en yüksekte. Oyun 4K'yı desteklemediği için 2K'da açtım.
Joseph, have I ever told you what my mother was like?
Şimdi sürtük anlatıyor. Demek ki fuck buddy'miz değilmiş bu. Hayat arkadaşımız.
You know what it's like not to have a mom at home. And you know how hard that made my childhood. What helped me was watching the birds in the morning before the school bus came. I thought that my mother was one of those birds. And it made me want to be free like her. My mom taught me how to fold origami cranes.
Ha, origami kağıdı demiş. Bak bu kağıtların ismini ben bilmiyordum, öğrenmiş oldum. Origami.
I would fold one every day until I could fly myself. I think we both have always loved animals. And for me that love started with a dog. Sometimes this Rottweiler would come up to our property line and wait at the fence for me, but only once in a while. I was sure to check every day immediately after school, and it usually ended in disappointment. I would even steal money from my passed out dad just so I could buy these off-brand dog biscuits. Even when she did stop by, she never went beyond the fence. Why was she so scared? I think my dad was the opposite of your dad in almost every way, except he was in the military as well. He coped with alcohol of every kind. The trailer started falling apart, he got angry, and I withdrew.
Beni sana
More and
çeken.
more I became the weird, quiet kid who made lots of origami birds and carried dog biscuits around. I think we were pretty similar when it came to being the weird kids. And that same sincerity in college was one of the reasons I was so drawn to you. Life got worse and worse. And at one point, I really didn't think I could survive another day with my soul still intact. I had no real friends, let alone neighbors, since we lived in the middle of nowhere. I should have talked to my teacher, but I was scared what he would do if he found out.
Geyik
As I
herhalde, bunu
waited for the
anlatacak.
school
Ceylan.
bus one morning, I walked around until I found something in an abandoned shed. Something I can't put into words. I summoned courage I didn't know I had, and I broke into my dad's room and found the key to the shed where he had locked my bike. I'll never forget that feeling. The wind rushing by my ears as the sun rose over fields of wheat. I was flying for the first time. I biked as far as my legs could take me until I found a house that felt friendly, and that felt like home. Those strangers helped me in so many ways. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have found my foster family. And if it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't have met you. You have strength, Joseph, and you're not as alone as you think.
It's all just so pointless. Just waiting for life to happen. It's like having the home I always wanted is cursed out of my reach. The thought of being a parent myself. How could I do that when I couldn't even be a good son? I'm sorry. I know what you're saying. I just don't know how things will work out. These quiet hours will turn into years. We'll wonder which roads passed us
Merak
by.
edeceğiz. Yeah.
Then we'll forge a new road together. Besides, I discovered for myself that one fateful morning where any hopeful road leads to. There may be thorns and mist, but it always leads to the same thing.
And what's that?
Family.
Aile. Evet, şu an
I'm so glad that you're part of my family, Rachel.
And I'm glad you're part of mine.
Şu an burada aile bağlarını gösteriyor oyunda. Bence son yavrumuz, evladımız canlı olduğunu düşünüyorum. Kaşlarıma çizik attırdım ikisine de. Annem ağzıma sıçtı ya. Ulan 32 yaşındayız. Hala anne bize kızıyor. Ama annemi çok seviyorum. Mükemmel bir insan. Her şeyim o benim ya. Her zaman her konuda destekçim oldu. Sağ olsun. Annemi çok seviyorum. Loading. Anam ya.
Fox knew her last cub would be waiting for her at the first tree. She was almost there. The rain cascaded onto the jade valley where the entrance to the tree was. Life was protected there, because that's where life began. It was now only a mother and a daughter left. Items from my life still dotted the ground as she moved closer to her destination. And destiny.
Kızı. Aha.
At the end of high school, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Drive. I looked into the best architecture schools on the West Coast, then got a dose of reality when looking at other students' portfolios and the high cost of tuition. I still wanted to be something, to be the next Alvaro Siza, and to make those thousands of sketches worth something in my grand history. But now even an internship sounds impossible. Siza helped me understand how essential emotion is in architecture. And he also said light is the real composer of space. I like to think these glints of light, like not finding a job or even a strange dream about a fox are something I should be thankful for, even if the illuminated space is something I'm less than comfortable with.
Şu vadiyi görünce böyle ya, bir yönden böyle doğayla bir bütün olmak istiyorum. Böyle sakin, huzurlu bir yerde yaşamak istiyorum. İnsanların az olduğu, genel anlamda zaten insanların böyle yoğun olduğu yerleri hiç sevmedim. Hayatım boyunca hiç sevmedim. İnsanların az olduğu, böyle atmosfer, ambiyansı böyle olacak yerleri daha çok seviyorum. Ama tabii ki teknolojiden asla ve asla uzak kalamam. Hele ki bilgisayardan. Bilgisayar benim en yakın arkadaşım. Yani bilgisayar olmazsa herhalde, yani bilgisayarsız insanlar ne yapıyor ya? Ben çünkü genelde hep evde böyle vakit geçirdiğim için.
My dad was super supportive with my college plans, to a point. Things were okay until this terrible accident happened. I guess a forklift flipped over due to a bad axle, and it crushed one of the workers there. My dad didn't eat for days, even though he wasn't directly involved. It devastated him. Not only did it hurt the business, but it just freaked him out. He would talk in his sleep, muttering things about firing people and saying sorry. One fateful day he approached me, said that since my school search wasn't going well, I should finally be a man and take over the family business. He said one day he was going to die, and that all of his work, sacrifice, and even that man's life would be wasted in vain. I just lost it. Teenage me just exploded at the thought. I screwed up. I said things I shouldn't have. He was having a crisis, and I pretty much spit in his face.
Orada. Bum bum. Heh, tamam gördüm.
Was that the last time you talked to him?
No, I called on holidays, and he would call on my birthday. I guess we acted like nothing ever happened, which was stupid. Didn't want to ask about his lumberyard, and I'm sure he didn't want to ask about my job search. I never went back and visited. I think the last conversation we had was about what movies we had seen.
Ya bu yabancı
what
ülkelerde
exactly the
cidden
best boy is in the credits.
genç yaşta evi terk
I
ediyorsun.
thought
Genç
you'd be here
yaşta
so much
ayakların
longer.
üzerinde durmaya çalışıyorsun, çabalıyorsun. Genç yaşta kendi başına bir birey oluyorsun. Ben ne bileyim tuhaf karşılıyorum bunu yani. Ben 32 yaşındayım, hala alemle yaşıyorum ve bundan çok memnunum. Ölmüş lan.
In the distance, the first tree illuminated the wasteland. She couldn't go home anymore. She did the only thing she was capable of. Moving forward.
Ölmüş lan.
My dad died alone in the middle of the wilderness. I should have been talking to him more. I should have done a lot of things differently.
If the first tree on earth brought life with it, if it taught the birds to sing and fly and showed saplings how to grow, what could it do for us?
Ya bana o kadar çok böyle duygusal olarak etkilemedi. Yani o ruhu, o şeyi yaşatmadı bana. Bilmem, belki grafiklerden olabilir. Şu an hayat ağacı tabiriyle ağacı yürüyoruz. Işıklandırma güzel. Bunu şu yorum yazan bir arkadaş vardı, 4-5 saat oynayan. O adam bunu nasıl bir 4-5 saat oynamış ya? Zaten oyun dümdüz götürüyor seni. Ben sanırım 1 saat bile sürmedi oyunu, hemen bitirdim yani. Dur bakalım, bu oyun hemen bitti mi acaba? Olabilir.
There was a letter I received yesterday
Tanıyamadım isim
from a name I didn't recognize, with a quote I can't stop thinking about. Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. More and more, I'm realizing one important truth. Each of us have our own journey to the first tree. But sometimes I'm not sure I'm ready to take that first step.
You already have my love.
Hayat alıcı Valhalla hesabı. Bu kadar.
I guess her journey was over, but I have no idea. It was only a dream. Distraction from tomorrow.
I don't think dreams normally bring back to memory so many important feelings. Maybe it was just a dream, but it was also a gift.
Yeah, I suppose. But tomorrow we're getting on a plane to the last place on Earth I want to be. The only person that would have made the trip worth it is gone.
You're going to see him and be with him one last time before you say goodbye. I have one last quote for you by Emerson, sealed in an imaginary letter from me to you. It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight and afterward return again. Go to sleep, my love. We have a big day tomorrow, but I'll be there with you every step of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. Good night, Rachel.
Rachel.
Good night, Joseph.
Joseph. Ana menüye atıyor galiba. Aa. 6 ay sonra. Sen ne diyorsun ya? Sen ciddi misin? Aa. Rachel. Oğlum sen nasıl bir hayat yaşıyorsun lan? Bak şimdi şaşırdım yani. Oğlum çok dağınıksın amına koyayım ya. Bu ne ya? Vurdum mu göreceğiz acaba? Oğlum nereye taşınmışsın lan sen, burada adamı sikerler ha. Hı. Ne alaka lan? Allah Allah. Atmosfer çok iyi. Şu an şaşırdım, şok oldum ya. Tam tilkileri rüyamız bitti. 6 ay sonrası. Yani deli miyiz lan, yoksa biz paranoyak bir deli miyiz? Bir şey arayacağız ama ne? Niye buraya açıyorsun ki? Ya hayat ağacıyla alakalı kitap okumuş. Demek ki takıntı yapmış rüyayı bayağı. Hani şöyle parlaklık gösterse oyun nesneyi. Ne bu alaka? Şu mu? Yoksa böyle hikayeden mi yani? Aa, tilki. Hmm. Kendine niye bakmıyorsun piç? Reçet kalk orospu. Aa, dur. Hani bir şey parlasa böyle nesne gösterse bize ne yapacağımız falan iyi olur ama. Aa, dur bakayım. Kamp var da anasını sikmişler, bu ne biçim kamp yeri bu. Oradan gitmiyor. Demek ki olay orada değil. Oğlum burada harbi adamı öldürürler ha. Tecavüz ederler valla. Tamam, belli kurdu yani, kurdu göreceğiz. Ya zıplasana. Allah Allah. Tamam, havlıyorsun it, tamam da. Ne yapacağım ben burada? Harbi mi? Yo, değil. Alanında mı? Sıkıştım diyecektim de iyi sıkışmadım. Tam havlu işte, kurt mu tilki mi ne? Amına koyayım, çit var ama bizim arazimizde bu çadırcılar var. Sanırım şimdi. Ha. Çadır. Çadırı tam çadıra gidiyorum zaten. Götümü mü siktireceğim şimdi çadıra? Amına koyayım. Şimdi söylüyorsun bunu. Çadırı ne yapacağım? Toparlayacağım mı? He tamam. Ne alaka lan? Oğlum burada duramazsın ki.
What the hell?
Şu an insankenki müzikler iyi olabilir. Şu an müzik iyi girdi. Tilki'deki müzikleri hiç beğenmedim. Oğlum bu haritada beni koşturtma ya. Harbi o zaman 4-5 saat sürer harbiden oyun. Ulan karıyı da yalnız bıraktık evde. Kapıyı da açık bıraktık. Sikmeseler bari. Beğenmedim bizi. Hayat ağacı. Aa. Bu da ne? Aa, yazı var orada. Babasıyla alakalı olabilir bu arada. Bunu tilki yazacak değil ya amına koyayım. I am never hardly gone. I am. Aa, tilki, tilkinin ruhu. Tilki de ölmüş. Çocuklarıyla beraber. Bak şu ağaçtaki yazanı altyazı göstermeleri lazımdı. Altyazı göstermeleri lazımdı ya. Aile bağıyla alakalı bir oyun oldu. Bak şu anki son yer beni etkiledi. Ama orada ne yazıyordu işte bak. Onu çok düşün. Neyse yorumlara bakalım zaten. Gösterirler. Yapımcıya teşekkür ederiz. Güzel bir oyun. Loading. Arkadaşlar başka bir oyunda görüşmek üzere.